Hi, my name is Brandon Homan, aka the Voicest, and welcome to IPA episode 3. Woo woo! I know the IPA isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but like I said in my previous videos, I'm using these IPA episodes to teach you the basis for what I will be using in the dialect videos to come. Today I'm going to be asking you all to help me decide what dialect to choose first. But before we get to that, I have to teach you something. So today's lesson is going to be mostly about what these symbols that I've been teaching in my last two videos will actually look like in context of actual words, and how they look, and how we use multiple syllable words, what individual syllable words look like, stresses, and all that fun stuff. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet, and not the beer. So, episode 3. First things first, I did make a little bit of an oopsie in my last video. When I told you the diphthongs ow and I told you to use the father A. This is incorrect. You need to actually use the hand A, which is the fancy one that you see at the top here. These top ones are the correct versions. Do not use these. You will only use, this is like one of the few times without dialect notes later on that you'll actually use this hand A, but it does make it sound better in the IPA when you use that hand A. All right. Today, like I said, we're putting it together, putting the stuff that we've learned together into actual words. So I'm very excited to continue this so we can actually make sense of what I've been teaching so far, because I know sometimes it sounds like a little bit of gibberish when I'm just throwing a bunch of new symbols at you. So this is what it'll actually look like. Like before, I added some stuff here, so take a screenshot and you'll notice that I have things highlighted. This is another small little oopsie. I used a different font. So when I had it before, for the letter T, I had the T with the little hook at the bottom. That's also incorrect. With the little hook, it's just a small little thing. You need to change fonts if you're typing it on the computer to just be a regular straight T without the little fancy thing at the bottom. It's a small thing, but it's worth noting because that little fancy T could mean something completely else in the IPA. I don't know what it means personally right off the top of my head, but it's important to use the right shape of the symbol. Vowel guide, you also know these. I also added the changes here just to keep note if you want to update your screenshot, if you did actually take a screenshot last time or wrote it down. Make sure you make those adjustments. But let's talk about the single syllable words. Single syllables, you don't need to worry about any stress, accent marks, or anything like that at all. It's just base words just to see how the symbols look together. So let's take a look. The word bad, you notice that I have the B and the A symbol and the D. Simple enough, exactly what you would think it would be with that newfound knowledge of the symbols for the vowel sound. So bad. Home. Even easier, you just don't add the E because you don't actually sound that E sound when you say the word home. You don't say homie unless you wanted to say the word homie. Completely separate scenario. So just home. H-O-M, because you have the H, you have the O, and you have the M. Home. Make. Same thing, you just go down this list. Just take a look at what I use here. Basically, you use these guides that I had in previous slides here and put together for words. Pretty easy. I know it can be a little daunting when you're just starting out. And you look at this side, that makes sense. Totally makes sense. You look at this side, that does not make sense. I promise once you keep practicing more and more, you'll learn it. It'll come easy eventually. Let's look at two-syllable words. Now, I mentioned previously that you will use the apostrophe mark, like it says here, up here. The accent mark or the stress mark is put into multiple syllable words. This represents what is the stress of the syllables. So in the word like basketball, if you put that little accent mark over the first syllable, the basketball, because that's how you sound the word. It sounds completely different if I were to say basketball or basketball. It doesn't sound right, so you have to make sure you accent that correctly. So let's look at two-syllable words here, just to kind of throw it out here. I kind of used a little bit of tricks so you can see what I think is the appropriate stress. So when I have the word father, you put the emphasis on the fa of the word father. So you put that, all you have to do is put that little apostrophe mark there, and that'll indicate that you are putting the stress on that first syllable. For the word about, notice how I have the schwa because it's not the stressed part of the word. The schwa is for the unstressed. So when you would put the apostrophe over the bout part of it. So about, because you wouldn't go about. Doesn't sound right. Same goes for mother. Put the emphasis on the mother. So when it is stressed, you'll notice that I use the caret. So the of the main stress of the word, or the main syllable of the word, is actually the caret, or the mother. Inflate. I don't know. These are just random words. I literally just pulled out of a basket, basically, and weird words that are 2 syllables. So inflate. Make sure the stress is on flate instead of in, because then it would sound like inflate, which I suppose you could say it like that, but it's mostly I'd like to inflate this balloon, or inflation, or things like that. Last one that we have here is metal. So you I have the emphasis on the first part of the word because you say metal and not metal. Basic stuff. This is a good chance for me to say this is the book that y'all should be using. This is your gold here. This is called the Pronouncing Dictionary of American English. This is the John S. Kenyon and Thomas Knott Dictionary. Basically everything in this dictionary, it has every word in the English language up to I think 2016, and it has it in the appropriate IPA format. So please get this book. Very helpful. This will help you in figuring out dialects later, because in order to figure out the dialects, you need to learn how to do it in the American Standard, which is in this book here, and then you can put it into the dialect. So any word that you're confused about, I actually go back. I reference this book when I was making these slideshows as well. So make sure you get this guy here. It's really helpful in the long run. Now let's go into multiple stresses. So you can have the first example I'm going to go, you can have 2 primary stresses. The primary stresses are that apostrophe mark. We'll get into secondary stresses in a couple slides. But for now, let's focus on the 2 primaries, which basically is just any compound word that is typically hyphenated is going to be when you put those. So let's take a look. So you notice how in these examples, you'll have 2 stress marks because you say it exactly how it sounds. So when you say this word long term, you don't go long term. I guess you could, but it sounds better when you go long term. Long term, 2 stresses. Long term, or second rate, or gift wrap, or ice cream. You don't go ice cream, or second rate, or gift wrap. Kind of type thing. You can do it like that, but it does sound better when you have those 2 stresses, that 2 primary stresses. And those primary stresses show up in this book as well. Just take a look at this. This is also looking at how these things work as well with the actual symbols. Take a look at this slide, pause it, write it down, some fancy stuff here that you want to take a look at. All of these are actually accurate. I made sure to IPA them out correctly with this book, as well as primary knowledge that I actually am using from college. Any Mavericks out there? Mankato Mavericks. Woohoo! Yeah, nerding it up here. All right, so let's talk about the secondary stresses. Secondary stresses are going to be actually put as a comma below the line. The primary stresses are above the line of text. The secondary stresses are below the line of text. And this is when you have multiple stresses in the word, but you have a main one and a slightly less stressed word. These are typically when you have 3 syllables or more. Let's take a look at these. So when you say the word situation, you don't go situation, you don't go situation, you go situation. So da 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 da. Kind of, if you think of it almost like musical notes. If any of you read sheet music out there, it's the da 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 da. I represented, if you look at this slide as well, the bolded lowercase is going to be the secondary stress. The bolded uppercase will be the primary stress. So if you look at these words here, the lowercase, or the secondary stress is on the sit, you, a, shun. Same goes for appreciate. The way that you figure these out is you say it wrong in different formats and then you say it right. So I wouldn't go appreciate, or I wouldn't go appreciate. I would go appreciate. Appreciate. It's kind of just sounding it out to see how you would normally say these words. And if you say it wrong, it'll sound wrong in your head. Get other people to say it. Just go up to your mom or your sibling or your best friend and say, hey, can you say this written out word here? Have it written out in plain old English. And I just want to hear how you say it. Go up to multiple people, take the average. I don't know. You'll figure it out. Once you hear it, you'll know that it sounds right. Same with photograph. Irresistible. You wouldn't go irresistible. You go irresistible. Or telephone. Once you hear it, and just keep listening to it. Keep listening to this video. Keep listening to how other people say words on multiple syllable words, and you'll eventually get it. Now, finally, at the end of the video, I'm going to say, out of these 10 dialects, if you comment, I'm going to post this video on Facebook as well for all my Facebook friends, as well as on YouTube. If you have the courage to comment, please comment and tell me which of these 10 dialects, these are the ones that I'm most proficient in. Just take a gander and comment which one you want to hear first. If not, if I don't get enough comments, or if I don't get any comments, which is entirely possible because I'm a new YouTuber, haha, I'm just going to end up choosing British, because British tends to be the easier one out of all of these. So that's all I got for today, actually. Next video, we're going to be talking about how to put what we've learned, these individual words, into an actual sentence. And I will also announce what our first dialect will be, which will be a lot of fun. So without further ado, thank you for watching. I know I say without further ado a lot. I don't know why that's a thing. Whatever. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for this if you really enjoy it, or if you want to see more videos like this. I know IPA is not the most interesting thing in the world, but I will be using what I teach in these videos here later on. I will be using what we learn here in the dialects, which is very important. So because if you watch my dialect videos and I start using these terms and these symbols without teaching it first, you'll be completely lost, and those will be worthless anyway. So please, if you haven't watched my first 2 videos, please go watch them, or else some of this stuff won't make any sense at all. So a lot of my videos depend on you watching the other ones. Convenient, I know, but please take a look. I really appreciate you watching and taking the time out of your day to learn a little bit, learn something new. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.